Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have the CEO of Power Nickel, Terry Lynch. He's joining us today to share his thoughts on Indonesia possibly looking to manage base metal supplies, if he thinks a greener world would accelerate nickel agreements, China's role in the copper market, and he's also going to give us a much anticipated company update on Power Nickel. Hey, Terry, welcome to The Dive.
Hey, Sandra, great to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you on. Now, Terry, recently Indonesia proposed creating an organization similar to OPEC for the metals used in battery making to coordinate supply. What are your thoughts on an OPEC-like alliance, and do you think managing base metal supplies would be beneficial to producers?
I mean, obviously, it would be beneficial to producers. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I think it's a worthy objective, I guess, for Indonesia to look to do, given their dominance in nickel. But it's be a very tall order to pull that one off.
Now, Vale and GM are in the headlines for their long-term nickel supply agreement. Do you think that we will see more nickel agreements like this as we transition the world with Grid 2.0 and electric vehicles?
100%. Early days as it is for Power Nickel, we're getting calls from these, car consumers and car producers and from nickel producers because the challenge is North American nickel is really extremely rare. And, with the IRA Act in the States, the Inflation Reduction Act, they basically have said to, automakers that if you don't have North American nickel, within the next 3 or 4 years, you won't be able to provide a full subsidy for your car. So if GM has got its supply line organized and Ford doesn't, well, Ford would be at a serious competitive disadvantage. So you can imagine how much pressure it is on the automotive manufacturers to make sure they secure their supply lines for these critical minerals.
Shifting gears a bit, copper prices were supported by expectations of further policy easing in China. What do you believe is China's influence on copper?
Well, it's huge. Obviously, it's the biggest consumer, I think, of copper at this point. So as China goes, so does copper. So in the short term, there could be a recession or a slowing down of the economy, and that will reduce copper demand. But the challenge is population continues to grow. The more and more people use more and more copper every year. So the supply demand curve on copper looks crazy a couple years out. So prices are definitely going to get stronger for copper, and I think demand as well. So short term, it could be sort of a softer copper market, but the long term fundamentals look amazing.
Now let's talk about Power Nickel. What is the elevator pitch for the company, Terry?
It's pretty simple. We're probably the cheapest nickel exploration company on the planet per pound of nickel discovered in the ground. So, for high grade nickel sulfate mines. So we don't compare ourselves with the laterites in Indonesia or even the lower grade mines in Canada because it's going to take $1 billion and up to develop those. And while that may happen in this economic cycle, it's a challenge. So when we're looking at comparing ourselves against our nickel sulfate competitors that are assumed to be commercial mines and waiting, they're trading for between 150 million US to 500 million US. We're trading around 15 million US, and we're arguably in a better place in the world to develop a mine than they are. And so I think we're massively undervalued.
Now, the company was formerly known as Chilean Metals. Could you share the story behind the name change?
Yeah, pretty simple. We looked at Chile a couple of years back, and we were concerned with the economic rumblings we heard down there on political unrest. And we started to look at other projects, looking to diversify, for our shareholders. And I came across NISC, and I like nickel a lot. It was interesting how we came across it. And so we made an acquisition of an ability to basically acquire NISC or 80% of NISC for $500,000, about 20% of our stock at the time, and a commitment to spend about $5 million. So we're going to be sort of through our commitment to spend here, by next spring, and we'll have earned our interest. And that was obviously the best move we ever made. So really happy to be involved in nickel at this time of the economy.
Could you run through the share structure for us?
Yeah, it's we just closed the financing for $4 million, and the basically about 120 million shares outstanding. Think of it as the Lynch family and the Stern family having sort of 15 to 20% each. The critical elements about 15%, our board about 4%, a couple of big hedge funds about 3 to 4% each. So about 65% or so was in fairly tight hands, and the balance is sort of spread amongst a lot of many thousands of users. People from when we were Chilean Metals, and obviously when we switched the name to Power Nickel was to reflect that we're focused on our nickel assets at this point in time.
Now, you mentioned a $4 million non-brokered private placement. Where will the proceeds be used?
So generally to expand our drill program, we had announced 5,000 meters, and we've been drilling since last mid-September, and we'll expand that to 15,000 meters. We'll start to produce results from that program starting next week, and we'll be producing assay results every 2 weeks or so for the next 3 months. So it's going to be an action-packed next little while for Power Nickel shareholders.
We noticed that you also have a gold copper initiatives. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, well, because we historically were Chilean Metals, we obviously had the Chile copper gold initiatives, and we acquired a really great project in BC called Golden Ivan that's basically overlooks the town of Stewart. It's in the heart of the Golden Triangle, has half-ounce gold and surface, very exciting play. Gold and copper exploration plays have not done well in the market. And so, that was why obviously we focused on the advanced nickel exploration play in NISC. But we think there will be a time, and we think that time is coming probably next year. So we would expect to spin those plays out into their own entity and pursuing the copper gold exploration structure from there. So we're quite excited about the prospects. They used to trade at twice our market cap, but we're at right now. So it'll be a hell of a bonus for our shareholders. But copper gold exploration will have its season, and it's coming.
Okay, so lastly, Terry, what should investors be looking out for with Power Nickel as we head into 2023?
I think the big play for any sort of junior mining investor is to watch for those exploration plays that are moving from exploration plays to being perceived as commercial, because that's the big move. So like we're getting, yes, I said 10 cents a pound of nickel in the ground right now, and our commercial cousins are getting $1 plus. So when you make that move, obviously it's a tenfold increase. And then obviously to get there, you've got to have found more resources. So you're probably tripling your resource. So you put those 3 and 10 together, and that's 30. So that's a huge inflection point. So do we go from 0 to 30 in 1 second? No, you go in stages. We saw when we announced our closing yesterday, the stock surged. And that's, I think, just the beginning. I think as we get our assay results out, that's what I'd encourage people to watch for, see if we're delivering those assays, getting nickel, equivalent of 1.5% or better. And if we are, then good time for you to load up on Power Nickel stock.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Terry, and sharing your story with us. It's been a pleasure.
Great to have you. Cheers. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the latest news in small caps. So be sure to stay tuned by hitting that notification bell and subscribing below before you leave. Bye.